What is up, everybody? Louisiana here, and today I wanted to do something. I wanted to talk about this album here. This is The Arrow of Satan is Drawn by Bloodbath. Now, I had not planned on making this channel a review channel, so I don't know if this is going to continue or it's a one-off, but this album is so awesome, I had to talk about it. So, if you don't know, Bloodbath is a Swedish supergroup meaning most of the members come from other established bands, and they were always meant to be a supergroup when they formed. It was just kind of their gimmick, setting off. And the thing is, Bloodbath never really did it for me. Like, I was never a super Bloodbath fan. I tried, mainly because the original lead singer of Bloodbath is the lead singer of Opeth, Michael Ackerfeld. Probably got that pronounced wrong, and so I was a big fan of Opeth, so I said, "Oh, Bloodbath must be awesome too," but it just never worked for me. I don't know. I every time they would release an album, I would listen to it, and it just didn't work. And then Michael became, kind of started wimping out and didn't want to do heavy metal anymore. So Opeth stopped doing heavy metal, and he dropped out of the band. But it's okay, because the new vocalist, Nick Holmes, or old Nick Holmes, is perfectly capable of being awesome. But anyway, before we talk about any of that, I want to talk about the album package itself. This album is basically the reason I collect vinyl. Yeah, it's kind of a hipster thing. This makes it all worth it. So the artist is, I'm probably butchered this name too, Eliran Cantor, who is totally the go-to artist right now. He's done the last Flesh God Apocalypse album. He did Soulfly. He did Hate Eternal. Their new album's awesome, by the way. And he's most famous for his Psy albums, which I think is their Japanese band. They're kind of like trippy, heavy metal kind of thing. And I always liked his Psy albums. Like, I would literally buy those things on the wall. They're so good. But this may be my new favorite. So, if you look at it, you see two people that appear to be sleeping and a baby crib here. And there's like a cross. And if it was just that, you would say, oh, that's an interesting piece of Victorian artwork, right? But if you look closer, the entire thing is covered in flies. Most of the flies are around the baby crib, but there's also some around the bed. And that just takes this to a whole nother level, like a super evil level. So, there's so much you could think about here. Now, I did do a little background research, and I haven't found him explain. Some of his albums, he does explain the concept, but this one I haven't found it yet. So if you do know what he was trying to portray with this, please say it in the comments. But there's a few things you can guess. Okay, one, maybe the whole family's dead. They died of some kind of carbon monoxide poisoning or something, and they're dead, and so they're flies, right? That's one way to look at it. Another way is maybe the parents are sleeping and the baby died. And the parents are like crazy, and they like leave the dead body there, and so flies build up over time. And then there's another way to look at it. This is my favorite, that because the cross, you have like a super religious family who are in denial by the fact that their baby is the Antichrist, and so the baby's alive. It just attracts fleas because it's like the devil, flies. That's my favorite interpretation. But either way you look at it, it's like super scary, terrifying, and amazing. Now, the rest of the art isn't quite as impressive. You have a huge kind of, the band members in makeup, bloody makeup, and holding a shovel. And this is a common thing to do, but honestly, unless it's like a black metal band with corpse paint, I kind of always found it kind of silly. Middle-aged men, wearing makeup when something as corporate as an album is always kind of silly to me. But whatever, it is what it is. And on the back, you have another shot of the band. This time, you get a full view of the shovel, and it's taken from a kind of an looking up angle, so it kind of looks like you're in the grave that they just buried you. And then you've got some more flies on the. And I think that's just probably recycled from, yeah. So they basically just cut part of the crib here with the flies and photoshopped it in to make it look like curtains. But it doesn't matter because it's all about the initial artwork, which is fantastic. And I also wanted to talk about the vinyl album itself. It is just one album, so it sounds fine. Like, I'm not an audiophile person who, like, you know, tells all the details. So I do know that if it's on a single album, it's not quite as fancy as a double album. I'm sorry, I apologize. You can explain in the comments how stupid I am. But I love the clear vinyl. It's very, very clear. I have a few clear vinyls, and this is the clearest, if that makes any sense. I also ordered the new Ocean album clear, so we'll see how that goes. I can compare it. But yeah, so the clear vinyl is an FYE exclusive. And if you go on the website, there's a red vinyl version on the band's website. And honestly, the version I would recommend would be, if you go on the website, the black vinyl, but they're still doing some of the t-shirt packages. So a lot of times the bands will have like a release package, so you'll get the album and you'll get a shirt or whatever you want at a discount. And then after the album's released, they kind of do away with those, or they sell out really quick. Well, last time I checked, you can still get the awesome shirt, which is amazing, and a black vinyl. And I recommend that. It's only $10 more than if you went to FYE and got it, so check it out. Now, as I mentioned, I wasn't a big fan of Bloodbath, so why is it I'm a fan now besides the awesome artwork? I saw a review by the YouTube channel Banger TV, and they're like really awesome, so if you haven't checked them out, you really need to check them out. They're really cool. They do a lot of indie stuff, a lot of fun stuff. It's way better than Loudwire or anything like that. But anyway, so they did a review, and they gave it a mixed review. I think 3.5 out of 5 stars, which isn't bad, but typically they skew up. So they weren't a big fan of this album, but they played a few tracks, and something about it kind of stuck out, mainly the guitar tone, which I'll go into in a second. And so I was like, I don't know, something about it connected with me. Even though they said it was okay, I was like, you know what? I've got a subscription to Spotify. Typically what I'll do is I'll play an album on Spotify while I'm playing a difficult game. Like right now I was playing Castlevania 4. And I had it playing in the background. I was playing Castlevania. I'd never played it before. I was super into Castlevania, which is Castlevania 4 is awesome, by the way. And I was dying, but the music was going. It was super good, awesome. And I was like, you know what? This album is amazing. What the heck are they talking about? This is like literally one of the best black and death metal albums I've ever heard. Like, it was so friggin' good. And I was like, and the thing is, why haven't I liked Bloodbath before? Or why do I like this? And I don't know the answer to that. It could be the different vocalists. Maybe Michael wasn't doing it for me in Bloodbath. I don't know, but this album is amazing. First of all, I mentioned the guitar tone. So another great YouTuber, Ola England, who is a Swedish guitarist for The Haunted, which is maybe my favorite band of all time. And he has a great YouTube channel where he just kind of goofs around and plays guitar. That's basically it. But he's super pro. Like, everything he does is super pro. So even if he does a simple thing, he works really hard. So anyway, check him out. Anyway, he did, for a couple of months this year, he was going through Swedish guitar tones, like whenever he was little, like things he really liked. And there's this really, I'm not going to go into it, but there's this old school Swedish death metal sound. And Bloodbath has used a little bit towards the early years of the band. Then I noticed they kind of phased it out and went to a more traditional distortion. But they brought it back. Like, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, it's almost like ridiculous how old school Swedish death it sounds. and I freaking love it. It sounds like, I mean, it's kind of a cliche to say chainsaw guitars, but like there's no other explanation. It's like it sounds like a freaking chainsaw. I mean, it's so awesome. It's so dirty. It's so grimy. And then you've got that, which is really, these days it's all about, you know, modern guitar tones, but they have this old school tone. It's very grindy, but the production values are still good, and the songs are super catchy. I mean, it's you really need to check it out. I wish I could play it for you, but I don't want to get copyright cited. Anyway, so the first two songs, Fleischmann, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Fleischmann and Bloodbath. So they kind of set the tone. They're super catchy. They're really fast. They have a lot of death metal standards in there. Blast beats. You know, it's almost kind of a. I mean, it's up tempo and it's great. I mean, I mentioned Banger TV. They love the first two tracks, and that's why they gave it the score they did. And you know, they probably are the best two tracks on the album. And what Banger TV didn't like was that the album kind of slows down a little bit in the middle of the album, but I think it's just as awesome because it's, you know, that guitar tone when slowed down, it just becomes so evil, and the catchiness is still there. They have some of the catchiest riffs ever. You know, not the most original. I think, like I said, all the standards over here of death metal are here, but they just do everything just right. And what I love about the center part of the album is the guitar solos. They don't stand out from the rest of the song for each song, but they kind of just drift in. Kind of gives it this eeriness. You know, going back to Castlevania, it feels like almost Castlevania, where it's just like in the background, and it just the solos come in, and there's really powerful, and there's a lot of melody there, and it really stands out. It's really beautiful. Then they go away, then you get that grinding guitar tone again. By the way, I would demonstrate, but I just moved, and so I don't actually have my guitar set up yet, but I wanted to hold the guitar anyway. So yeah, and then for me, the weakest part of the album is the last song. The last song is Chainsaw Lullaby, which, you know, ironically, chainsaw guitars, but I'm not a huge fan of it. One, it's kind of a bit different than the rest of the album. It's a little funner. I don't know. It almost has a Death Block feel to it, and it's kind of silly, but you know, even then, I'll forgive it because it's still super catchy, and it's just fun. And this album, even if the cover's so dark, it just feels alive. It feels like the band, you know, they're making music that they love. It's like almost an ode to classic Swedish death, but it's also fun and modern. And you know, it definitely, it may be my release of the year. It really is so far. Well, so far it's the end of the year, but I mean, it really is fantastic. But anyway, yeah. So I just rambled on for who knows how long. I'm drinking a little winter lager here, and I beat Castlevania 4, and so I've moved on to some other Castlevanias. So they're kicking my butt over there. So I'm going to drink some beer, play my guitar if I can ever get it set up, and listen to some Bloodbath. Check it out.